Hello everyone, my name is Blackwatch and welcome to a painfully belated episode of How to Play. In this episode we're going to be looking at James Porter, also known as Smoke. He's an operator with unrivaled denial abilities and a huge amount of versatility in his kit. The problem with him is that he's got a pretty high skill cap, so newer players or players who haven't really given him a go are going to struggle with him to begin with. He's one that was pretty bad for me to start with, but looking at him now, he's definitely one of the best I have on defense. So I'm going to take you through how to get the most out of this operator. Smoke is a 2 armor, 2 speed operator on the defending team, and he's a member of the SAS CTU, functioning alongside his defending compatriot Mute and his attacking friends Sledge and Thatcher. He is one of the most picked operators in Pro League because he is one of the few operators in the game, obviously expanding now with Legion and Ela being introduced, that has a genuine denial ability in terms of objectives. That means he's able to do something that will stop pushes, and that's his main function, is he's there to slow down the enemy and try and deny them from actually pushing on objectives in the first place. So that's one of his strengths. It's the versatility that he offers with his kit. He has a very good shotgun, he has a very, very good secondary, and he also has his babes. Now his babes are his main gadget. It's the Z8 toxic gas micro grenade or something like that. Don't think it's micro grenade, but toxic gas grenade, which you can throw at a pretty good distance. Before it used to have the throwing range of a nitro cell, but he was buffed in the Season 4 mid-season reinforcements to give him that extra range and the extra projectile speed, so now he throws them more like an impact grenade, and it made a big difference to his character. He was already very viable, but he made his babes a bit more safe when it came to deploying them, because you didn't have to get as close as you used to actually deploy the gadget. He is obviously fantastic at denying objective pushes, so what he does is he throws down his babes towards the end of the round, and it creates a big blanket of toxic gas which anyone who's inside it, be that a friendly or an enemy, will take damage from it. And that's something you do have to remember. Don't throw these near either the hostage or a member of your team, because they will take damage as well. You are the only one who's immune to the gas because you've got some modified gas mask. You can see it on the back of his character. He has a modified respirator unit that's actually strapped to his back, and he's the only operator that can tank his own gadget. So keep that in mind and be careful. He has some weaknesses though, and one of them is related to the nature of his gadget. It is throwable, so it's not something that you would normally just pre-deploy and pop, because as much as that could be useful, you never really know for sure when or where you're going to need it, and so it's better just to play it safe and throw them out when you need them, rather than throwing one out that could be shot, because it does light up. It's a bit like a nitro cell. It doesn't make the noise, but it's got a big red light on it, and it's pretty much an invitation for the enemy team to just pop it, and then you don't have a smoke charge anymore. And considering you've only got 3 and you want to save them all for the end of the round, it's not the best way to be losing your most effective gadget and pretty much your main selling point as a character. So you got to be careful when you're using them. You don't want to expose yourself too much when you go to throw them. Sometimes, in fact, I say sometimes, I'm thinking back on when I used to play Smoke at the start, the main reason why I died was because I would try and use my babes where really I just needed to use my guns. So a lot of the time you'll end up running out and throwing a grenade and hoping that that's going to deal some damage to someone, but in that situation you'll find you're running out there with this big toxic gas thing in your hand, and somebody's shooting you in the face because they don't particularly care about your plans, they just want to get rid of you. So you're better to keep your guns out in some situations and just pop them in the face rather than going for the denial, because it doesn't always matter. Sometimes you'll get a bit overzealous, and it's something that I was plagued by when I first played the character. It was just over-reliance on throwing them out and being far too keen to use them instead of using my firearm. So try and think about the situation you're in. If you're going to be directing your fire towards someone, it's better to throw your babe from a distance where they can't see you, or to just not throw it at all and contest with a shot instead. The other thing is the high skill gap, of course. When I started playing Smoke, my kill-death ratio on him and my win-loss were probably around about 0.9 for win-loss because I was still okay at denying, and my KD was probably about 0.7. At the moment, I think they're sitting on around about 1.3 for win-loss and 1.4 for KD. I could be wrong, but they're around about the sort of low 1 point somethings on both stats, which obviously isn't great, but considering what it used to be, it's a hell of a climb, and it shows, you know, with a bit of practice, with a bit of finesse, and just learning to use the character really can make a difference to how you play him, and it's just a credit to him for being such a useful character and for being as versatile as he is. But you got to really just take your time and learn the situations yourself. You know, as much as I can tell you, oh, you got to be careful, you got to know when to use them and don't waste your babes. You're only really going to know that through playing the character and experiencing those situations for yourself and knowing when it's worth throwing one early. So sometimes you may be down someone at a distance and they're a particularly valuable character on the opposing team. Maybe it's worth throwing that to get the kill rather than exposing yourself by running out and trying to shoot them. But it's decisions that you've got to make pending the situation, and it's all down to you practicing the character and just learning the quirks of his gadget. Of course, with the high skill gap, there's also the potential for waste. If you no longer have your gas grenades because you've wasted them early in the round, that could genuinely lose you a round because they're so goddamn useful at denying pushes at the end. Even if someone runs in and just takes a couple of ticks of damage from it, the tick rate is very, very high, and even if it only deals about 20-30 damage to the opponent, it's still about 1 bullet worth of damage, and in the long game, that could win you the round, and sometimes you'll end up injuring them if you've managed to catch them in the corner. There's all sorts of things that can happen, and a lot of the time, people will just waste too much time going for the push because they see the grenade and they basically get frightened. It's something that makes them not want to push and will often pressure them to push in the last 5 seconds where they just don't have enough time to pull off an effective push. And again, that comes down to it being one of those things where you are effective as long as you are alive. It's the same with Doc, it's the same with a lot of characters in this game. If you're dead, you're not used to anybody. So you got to keep yourself alive, you got to be a bit more careful because you're painfully punished upon your death, more so than most characters, because you are no longer effective at all. You cannot detonate your grenades after you die, you can't shoot anyone after you die. So keep yourself alive, be careful, and make the most of your gadget. So, as I say, keep your babes till later on, or until it's essential. Do it safely, from a decent distance, where hopefully you don't have direct line of sight with your opponent, and space them out as well. If you are going to go for one where you're going to just lob them at someone to try and kill them, don't throw them in the exact same spot because it will not do anything. They don't stack in terms of damage, so you're better spreading them out, creating a bigger area, so if they do have to run away, they're running into more smoke and it has the potential for them to die because of that. Keep an eye on your friendlies, make sure you don't kill the hostage with your things, and don't kill your friendlies with them. If you want to roam, he's a good semi-roamer, but don't roam too far away from sight because your main strength, as I say, is objective denial. So make the most of it, enjoy the gadget, just have fun with them and practice them. Once you get to know him, once you get to use him properly, I think you'll get a lot out of him, and he certainly is one of the most useful ones on defense. So that's been Blackwatch back again, so hopefully this will be the first and not the last video for the next little while. I'll catch you guys in a little bit.